next speaker is Mr. Ambarish Gupta. He's the founder of Nolarity. And he'll be talking about the lessons learned on building an enterprise voice telephonic product. Please welcome Mr. Ambarish Gupta.
About what we do so that there is a context, but mainly going to talk about how to differentiate between product versus features. All of you, actually many of you will be building up companies currently, and the ideas that you start with, while entrepreneurs are passionate about those ideas, you're not sure whether this is a big idea or it's just kind of feature which is going to go a little distance and then somebody else is just going to copy it. So I'm going to talk about that, but before that, let me give you a brief introduction of what we do. We do cloud telephony. Nolarity does cloud telephony, which is fulfilling a need in telephony space. If you look at telephony in last 100 years, since Graham Bell invented it, the experience has remained the same. You call, the other party picks up the phone, says, hello, this is ABC, Mr. ABC is speaking. And the consumer experience today, right, there are a whole bunch of apps on your mobile phones, but when somebody calls, you have the same experience. Works out for consumers. For enterprises, it's a big problem because they would need to have whole bunch of new experiences embedded in it. For example, being able to forward the call, having voicemail, call forwarding, recording, text-to-speech, whole bunch of interesting stuff that you can put on the phone. And nowadays, you can buy hardware to do that. You buy something called EPBX systems and expensive hardware in the offices. What we do is we just take all this hardware, put in the cloud, and SMBs in India, currently 8,000 of them. We are a 5-year-old company, currently using our services, where they take a phone number from us, and when somebody calls on that number, it says, welcome to that company, and then call is recorded and forwarded, and then you kind of, there's a nice UI, you can manage it. So basically, office number in the cloud. That is what we do. I've been doing for last 5 years, quite successful, raised 3 rounds of investment so far, and going international now. Whole bunch of customers, large customers such as ZipDial and Pepsi, and the smaller customers such as, I guess, Sun Tours and Travels. So it's pretty much used by all kind of enterprises, small and big. With that context, let me talk about how I was able to commit to the idea of building up a cloud telephony company. And I have been talking with a lot of entrepreneurs in last 5 years, and I feel a lot of the ideas that entrepreneurs so passionately are committing themselves to, they may be what I call features, but not a full-fledged product. Now the question is, what is the difference between just a feature versus full-fledged product? If it is full-fledged product where you can build up a company, you can build up large billion-dollar companies out of it. If it is feature, most probably it will get copied by somebody and it will fizzle out after some time. So you need to know whether the idea that you are working on is just a feature or it's a full-fledged product. There are a bunch of things which I call very structural macroeconomic things that you can think of when you're evaluating that idea. And that is how we ended up evaluating Nolarity. So the first point that I've written on the slide is, what change do you write? It's kind of a very abstract concept. But all the societies in the world, Indian society in particular, is going through very rapid change. Now, if you have an idea, and this little bit of intellectual exercise you have to do, what has changed in last 4 or 5 years, 3 years, that your idea suddenly has become so much more powerful, that it was not useful or not powerful 3 years back? Because most probably, if the idea is such a groundbreaking idea, somebody intelligent must have thought about it 3 years back. Now, the only question and only point against it is that things have changed. Things have changed in the society because of this idea. Now is the time for this idea. So the changes, you need to be able to link your idea to some kind of change that has happened in the society, in the consumer class or enterprise class, that you can link and say, well, it was not that powerful idea 3 years back, but it is now. So for example, increase in disposable income. Like now, e-commerce, for example, 10 years back, if it was tried in India, probably there'll be very few, very few middle-class Indians who would try it. Because, first of all, disposable income in India was very less, right? People did not really spend money on money on things. The payment mechanism was not that available. The capital to build up these kind of companies not available. So those things change in last 8-10 years time period. And suddenly e-commerce is just basically selling the whole bunch of things on internet. Because people want those categories, the wide range of categories that e-commerce can provide, and that is why e-commerce is taking off the way it is taking off the way it took off in China. So when people have disposable income, lot of things which are luxury for somewhat poorer society, those markets starts kind of taking off. So maybe your idea is connected to change in the disposable income that the people have. Today, everybody has mobile phone, and a mobile phone is not mobile phone, it's actually a full-fledged computer sitting in the pockets of the people, which basically allows a central entity to have bi-directional communication with a very large number of people very, very quickly, and central entity can be your company. Now, that is path-breakingly changed in India in last 3 years. Not a small set of people who had access to internet. Literally, very large number of people have internet access. They are doing WhatsApp. They're trained also. They're using WhatsApp. They're using Facebook. They are using various kind of mobile apps. Now, your ideas can be connected to it. So, for example, when I go to Chai Point and I say, wow, that's such a good use of this idea. You look at cab companies. You click and then you get the cab. It requires bi-directional communication. If you had tried to do this kind of cab companies things 5 years back, it would be a very bad experience. Initially, Mega Cab and Meru Cab came where it was phone experience. It was not as smooth. You couldn't tell the location as easily. But today, because it's bi-directional communication happening on the phone, that is possible. So if your idea is making use of the trend, you can say, well, nobody thought about it. Probably people thought about it 3 years back, but it was not possible then. But it is possible now, and I'm riding this wave, this change in the society. Better access to capital. I think today we are sitting and looking at $100 million, $200 million, or $1 billion capital being raised by Indian companies. Just 3 years back, it was unimaginable, and it is important thing because a lot of business requires a lot of capital or risk appetite in the investors. Having that large amount of capital available, right, you can actually do big things. So I was looking at one startup in Chennai that has started e-scooters, electronic scooter. No, it's not an old idea. It has been around for some time, but going to require a lot of capital if you are going to make scooters and distribute them. So a lot of ideas which were not possible 3 years back again become possible now because this thing has changed as well. So you need to think what has changed in society macroeconomically in India, outside India, whatever your target market is, which gives legs to your idea. Even the smarter people who thought about the same idea 3 years back probably would not have been able to do it, but you can do it. But you have to be riding that wave, and that's very important. Second point that I talk about is what demand you fulfill. Now, that is very important. I was reading somebody's, I think it's a Twitter CEO's comment which said that internet just allowed people to do things that they always wanted to do. That's a profound statement. If you look at history, right? If you just abstract out, people are still needing the same thing. They need the same stuff. It's just the tools change. People don't require new stuff. Facebook allows people to connect with their friends. They're always connected with their friends. WhatsApp allows them to talk with their friends. The telephone allowed 100 years back, much more inexpensively in asynchronous fashion. cab companies allow you to move from point A to point B very, very easily, or e-commerce allow you to buy stuff. We are not doing anything new. We just tools are changing. We still want the same stuff that we wanted 10, 15 years back. So if you're trying to build up a company, you should think, and this again, a little bit of intellectual exercise, what large demand or pain point that you're solving. Because it has to be existing demand and pain point that people are just literally struggling with everywhere in India, or if international market is your forte, then that market. But doing it in some other fashion because of which they are failing, they are not able to do it properly, all kind of problems. And then here you come in and make the whole process smooth. Right? So it has to be existing demand. People, human beings don't want new stuff. They want the same stuff, but maybe much more easily. Right? So your demand is not going to be some new demand that you have discovered. It's going to be old demand, old pain point. You're just figuring out new way to solve the same problem. Third, what 10x advantage do you have? Now, lot of features that I see, that the people come up, ideas that people come up with, I see 2x better, 2.5x better, 3x better. It can't be 2x or 3x better, because if it is 2x, 3x better, it's a regular business, it's not venture business. Venture business means it's going to explode. It's going to grow 10x, 20x year on year. That's the kind of potential that you need to have. And for that kind of betterness, with that kind of speed, you need to have something which is 10x better than what is existing, what is available now. People have lot of inertia. If I am used to solving my problem or my pain in a certain way, if somebody else comes and tells me 1.5x better way or 2x better way of doing the same thing, I'll probably switch, but it will take its own sweet time, right? And in that time period, you'll basically run out of invested money, you'll die, right? Or you grow old. What you need is something which is 10x better. And that is possible because society is changing, right? Lot of new society is acting in a different way. People are getting older, which are replaced by new people, right? Who have learned life in a different way. So there's a big opportunity in terms of coming up with a 10x different way, 10x better way of doing things. And unless you do that, if you have 3x better way of doing things, it's just going to move slow. Fundamentally, what you're trying to do, theoretically speaking, or intellectually speaking, your solution has to be 10x better for it to explode. And that is what venture-backed companies are about. If it is 3x better, maybe you need to go back and tweak more, right? Make use of the existing trends, maybe change the idea right there and then to make it 10x better. I think that is when it is going to explode. As I talk about technology and setup people, I think Steve Jobs, when Apple launched PC, people asked, like, what is going to happen to those people who are not used to PCs? His response was, they'll die and replaced by new people, right? Which is his truth, right? The generations slowly are shifting, and before we realize, like, people who were 20-year-old become 30-year-old now in 10 years, and they're replaced by brand new, fresh people who are like WhatsApp and Facebook guys, right? Now there's the opportunity, right? You don't have to train those 30-year-old guys. You need to get those 20-year-old guys because they're the future, and they will allow you to have a 10x better way of doing things. Will you be able to execute? I think that is, I think often very not looked at properly. And I think that makes a difference between a great idea and great execution, and the great idea and poor execution, and I don't know if the idea was great or not. That's two stories that you hear very often. And I think to be able to execute well before you embark on, very painful journey of statistically absolute failure journey, right? It's a very 95% chance you'll fail. A journey of trying to build up a company and devote 5 years of your day and night to it. You need to think, introspect a little bit to find, do you want to build a product company because it's very high risk. I feel the ultimate purpose of life is maximizing your happiness, daily happiness. That is the ultimate purpose. Happiness, I think, unfortunately, I think incorrectly, many people link with making a lot of money or having fame or building up great product that their brands are building. If you do introspection, you might figure out something else. Maybe you want to travel, maybe you want enough money, maybe you want to make $1 million per year and then travel the world and raise great family. If that may be the definition of happiness, and that you might go into a different kind of business. You might build up software service business, let's say, or you want to build up a restaurant chain. You might to build up lower risk, higher probability of success kind of business. So you need to first decide, what is ultimately I want happiness. So what is my definition of happiness, and what is the best risk and reward method of getting that happiness for next 20, 30 years of your useful life. And if you realize that, well, I'm a crazy guy and I'm going to try to build up a product, a venture-backed company which is going to have 5% chances of success, and I'm willing to live with that, and I'm going to devote 120% of my life for next 5 years in that pursuit. Maybe then this is the journey that you take. But then you stick with it because halfway if you break, then you're neither this way or that way. So one is that commitment. You should be very deliberate about and be very honest about to yourself, because you're not fooling anyone, you're fooling yourself. So be very honest about it. The second is assess whether what you're trying to do, does it match with your what I call natural skill set. Some people are good in technology, some people are good in business, some people are good in operations, some people are good in people skills. They should do the business where there's a good overlap between what they want and what they need to execute. And you can look back at your career, you look at like your hobbies, talk with your friends, and they'll tell you that you are naturally good at that. That will allow you to pick up the reins and pick up things when others fail in your company, because they will fail all the time. CEO has the responsibility of getting done everything, and you will have the responsibility of getting done everything as well. And if you don't naturally like that, it will be difficult. So pick up a space which you're naturally good at, naturally like, and that will allow you to do a better execution and build up a network of the people who can compensate for the other peripheral skill set that you require, and then you'll be able to execute maybe with less pain than fundamentally anybody and everybody will go through trying to build up a venture-backed company. So that's about from me. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Ambarish. That's from the person who brought you Acid Bar to a differentiation in product versus features. Anybody has a question for Ambarish? We do. We have somebody in the back. There you go.
Good afternoon. I just have a vague about something. Suppose I'll take an example. We have been using WhatsApp, and we know WeChat option is there, and WeChat is offering us more stickers and more of the things are there. But still, WhatsApp is already into market. People, as you said, that people have inertia, and they want to be in that sphere only. So being a WeChat product, if I have a product of WeChat and I have to compete with WhatsApp, so what are the things I should focus on? I should focus on more marketing stuff, or more creating more making more changes to my app or something like that. Just a simple thing. Suppose I have a competition and I am offering more of features in my product, but still my business is in crisis. So what I should look after?
See, if somebody wants to compete against WhatsApp or WeChat, let me take example of, let's say you're trying to build up a company which competes with both. You need to understand the customer pain point, and there has to be something which is 10x better. And many times you will not find that there is anything 10x better. It's pretty nice, right? I mean, compared to SMS, WhatsApp was much better because free. SMS cost money, WhatsApp doesn't cost money, you can send pictures and all those things as well, right? So it's like Far, far better. And that's why everybody uses it, right? I remember getting invitation to use WhatsApp. I said, what is this WhatsApp? But I kept getting invitation. So first, fundamentally, it has to be 10x better. Then marketing is about communicating the 10x betterness, telling people that it's 10x better to a lot of people, right? And then they latch on it. But that's a secondary. First, fundamentally, what you're trying to build has to be 10x better. If it is not, if it is, let's say, 1.5x better, WhatsApp can send text and pictures, and you can send video as well. It's not going to really fly. People are not dying to send videos, right? They're perfectly fine sending text and the chat. Maybe you're faster, but I think it's fast enough. So I don't know, maybe there is something, but I can't think of anything which is 10x better. If let's say if you were able to find 10x better, right, mechanism, then there are consumer marketing tactics, for example, viral growth. If it is a free product that you have to depend on viral or word of mouth growth, or you require very large capital outlay. But all those things can be, actually, I feel can be solved. But fundamentally, your product has to be 10x better for it to have its own strength when it gets replicated.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions? Yes, again, it's a long travel. Yes.
Thank you for an interesting and thought-provoking discussion. So my question is not about product features, a little bit about, I want to understand, yours is a non-advertising supported business, so the revenue model, right? How did you arrive at the revenue model, and is that right from the start, and is that the same thing you stayed with? Did you iterate a bit on that? Just a few thoughts on, how you came up with the revenue model, what are the options, and so on.
See, Office PBX have been around in every country for a long time, and it typically costs you around 2 lakh rupees per year, because you need to take telephone lines in your office, you have to put some PBX system, you have a receptionist, all those things. Right? We sell the product at 20,000 rupees. So it was literally 10x lower priced, and because we could do it because it was all hosted technology. So literally it was 1/10 the cost, and then we evaluated from the consumer psychology point of view, the 20,000 rupees, does it match against the SMS or the SIM cards, the consumer SIM cards bill that they get every month, so that there's no sticker shock. And that is around 1,000 rupees. So 1,500 rupees for a business phone kind of made sense really to us. That was the starting point, right? And initially, when you're starting a company, you don't have time you don't have customers, so you cannot do customer research. You can go and talk with the people, but people don't do what they say, right? So you have to keep that in your mind. Now, as the company progressed, 2 years later, 3 years later, that is where we kind of started segmenting the customer and started discovering, their needs, how much value they are generating out of our products, and charging them based on that. So then we basically created different segments, ranging from 10,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees, 30 to 2 lakhs, 3 lakh rupees per year kind of products for various market segments. But you start with a bang, which is 10x better, right? And then you work on capturing as much value as possible as time progresses. And in our case, it was pretty simple because there was already a market where the product was not able to fulfill the demand of very mobile businesses that we have nowadays. So it just worked.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ambarish, for your great insights. Big round of applause for Abhijit. Ambarish, please.